and I want to make Islam the law of the land, the law of the state, what you end up is to impose that Islam to other people. These people might be atheists or agnostic, they might be non-practicing. Or these people might be believing in Islam, but they might be believing a different interpretation of Islam, a different mezheb, a different way of Islam. And if you say, my understanding of Islam should be the rule, and everybody has to obey that, actually you are violating one of the core principles of the Quran, which says no compulsion in religion. You're compulsing people to accept your legal system. The better alternative, I think, especially in modern societies like we are living in, which are very diverse, is to accept that a political system which accepts each citizen's right to practice its faith, and to accept communities to form their their religious groups and so on, but which will not allow them to impose a faith onto others, is, I think, the ideal state. For example, that's why I think today most Muslims feel much more free in Western democracies than they feel they feel at home. In Turkey, for example, I mean, most of you are wearing the hijab, and it's welcome, and I'm very happy to see that. In Turkey, you would not be able to get into a university campus like this, because there's a secularism police there, which stops you from getting into the campus and said, no, you can't be that, you can't get in that. But here in the West, I mean, the France, again, might be troubled about. The France in universities is okay, but problems in high school. But in especially the Anglo-Saxon, English-speaking world, the idea that you have your religion and of course you have the right to practice it is very much appreciated. And when I look to the modern world, I see that's the best example you can find. We had socialist versions of modernity, we had communist versions of modernity. They were all hostile to religion and repressive. Under liberal democracy, you can practice your faith. And then the question comes, but what about the Islamic idea of spreading Islam, giving dawah to people? Of course, that is important, and liberal democracy allows you to do that too. I mean, you can go and establish an Islamic propagation center, somewhere in here and there. You can give your message of Islam. You can propose Islam, but you are not supposed to impose it. And I think that's compatible with the basic idea of freedom, which also you can find in the Quran too. So, well, I just got pieces of Turkish experience, but I can go more. But I think this is good. Yeah, sure. Please.
Anybody has any question to ask?
Yes, I have a question about, I've been circulating your articles about apostasy is a right, not a crime. So can you just reiterate here, maybe it's related to the Turkish experience?
Of course. Well, I was planning to address the issue of apostasy in the second session, but no problem since you asked. Apostasy is one of the hot topics in the Islamic world today, and there are Islamic traditional Sharia laws that apostasy is a crime, and the apostate should be killed. And actually, there was one case in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, 2 years ago. A Muslim named Abdul Rahman, he converted to Christianity, and according to the law, he had to be killed. And then the Western government made some diplomatic efforts and so on, and he was saved from there and put into Italy, so he lives. But the idea is there. And I think, well, first of all, I don't agree with that practice. I mean, I don't think that apostasy is a crime. I think that people should be free to leave Islam and to choose any other religion if they want to. Not because I want them to do so. Okay, I think it's a mistake, but I think people have the right to make mistakes, and it's their choice. But I think like that. But what I think like that, I mean, there's this clear Sharia law. You can ask why apostasy should be allowed. I think that whole idea is a bit misunderstood point of view, because when we look at the origin of the apostasy laws, we will see that what is defined by apostasy at the time of Prophet Muhammad and later was basically political treason. Because at the time, Muslims and the polytheists were engaged in war. It was a continual warfare. And abandoning your Islamhood and going to the other side of the polytheists was basically changing your sides in war. I mean, your army is making war against another army, and your soldiers, 10 of them abandon and go to the other side and start to hit back. I mean, that's treason. Even in modern world, it's punished by, capital punishment. But since it was basically a political consideration, I don't think it applies to today's world. Today, when a Muslim changes religion and becomes a Catholic or Protestant or Hindu or something, it doesn't mean that he's changing his political allegiance to a state or something. There's no political allegiance here. It's just our relationship with God, our Creator. So I think that idea should be put in context. And there's a reason why Islamic jurists thought that apostasy is a crime. But I think in today's world, the same situation doesn't work. And we should allow people to change their religion. And just think about it. I mean, besides all those historical arguments, what does it mean when we say that, hey, Islam is a religion, and is a sort of religion when you're free to get in, but you're not allowed to get out? If you live Islam, you will be killed. I mean, what does it mean? I mean, what does it mean to people from other? I mean, they will say this is a dangerous religion, and then it means that you are making people Muslim not because they believe it, but because you are forcing them to do so. I mean, this whole idea of compulsion is very wrong. I mean, for example, in Saudi Arabia, you have the mutawwin, the mutawwa, the religious police. And when the prayer time comes, the adhan, they force people to go to the mosques and pray, and it's a prayer time, you have to go to the mosque. Now, think about it. You're going to the mosque not because you fear Allah, but you fear the religious police. What does it give you? I mean, it doesn't give you a sincere religiosity. It actually creates hypocrisy. It's not a sincere faith. So if we force people to become Muslims, you will have people probably who hate Islam, but who has to look as if Muslims because they are forced to do so by law or by the police, by the government. And I think that's a practice we should, abandon and understand. We can understand why it existed in the Middle Ages, in the time of Prophet Muhammad. And actually, when you look at the origin of the apostasy laws, you will see that the apostasy idea started after Prophet Muhammad. After he died, some tribes which joined the Islamic states rebelled. And Caliph Abu Bakr, the first caliph, he had to crush those rebellions because they were rebellions against the state. And today, the same thing, if you have a part of England which says, hey, I want to be free, I'm just abandoning, there will be a political conflict. The same thing was there. And then jurists later on thought that since Caliph Umar did this, then we can punish apostasy, and apostasy is a crime. But it was, again, a political thing which became a religious rule. And I think it's time for cleaning religion from the political context of the 7th, 8th, 9th centuries.